Hi there, it's Rick with Musician's Edition, and we are in the Tenor Sax book. Today's page is page 21. So before we get to page 21, yesterday I picked up my saxophone from the repair shop, and the reason I took it in is because I was having a little trouble getting some of my notes out. So let's talk about that just a little bit because it's something I have not talked about. The saxophone has a lot of moving parts. It's a mechanical instrument, it's not digital. And so there are a lot of things that all have to work correctly in order for you to be able to play the instrument. So there's lots of springs on it, there's lots of pads. If you've ever looked underneath the keys, when you press them down, there is what's called a pad that closes off the hole that is in the saxophone. And if that pad completely covers the hole and doesn't allow air to leak, then it's working correctly. But there are lots of pads, over 20 pads on the saxophone. And if you are pressing lots of keys, meaning that lots of holes are going to be closed, if any one of those pads is leaking air in a spot, it can make it difficult or sometimes impossible for the note to work correctly. So sometimes when there's a small air leak, you don't realize it, what happens is you have trouble getting your notes to come out. And you're working against the instrument. It's making it harder for you to get the notes to come out. So it is worth having your instrument looked at, especially if you feel like you're struggling to get notes out, and especially when you get into a note where lots of the pads are closed, like in D or E or F. And as we get into some of the lower notes of the instrument and start using some of the ones way down on the instrument, everything has to be closed and working correctly. Otherwise, you're not going to have trouble. You're going to have trouble getting those notes to come out. So it is worth getting a check at a repair shop. Most music stores that sell band instruments will either have a person that repairs band instruments or can direct you to someone who can do that. All right, on to page 21. These are both band arrangements again, so like sort of like page 20. 20 was more of a solo. These are band arrangements, which means that the part that you're playing might not sound like a melody that you can walk away singing or recognize. But if you were to play these with other instruments, then they all go together and make a nice sound. So again, you may or may not have melody. At the top of the page, there is a new idea called a long rest. A long rest would be anything more than one measure, and it will have a long bar with a number above it. And so in this case, the example says 2. So that means 2 measures in a row, and it shows you how to count that. So if you look at Montego Bay, the first thing you'll see, besides the treble clef sign, the time signature, which is C or common, 4/4, and the key signature, which is a B flat, you will see that there are 4 measures of rest. And so before you come in, you need to count 4 measures of rest if you're playing with other instruments. If you're not, you don't necessarily have to do that. But to get into the correct habits so that if you ever do play with a band, you will know what to do when you see a rest like that. All right? There's a first and second ending in this one. There are, so there's a repeat sign there. There are dynamics, louds and softs, and things like that. If you look at number 21, it does repeat that. That is played twice. And so it says first time underneath, it says first time F, second time P. So the first time you play through that section, it should be played loud. The second time should be played soft. First thing we will do is count 4 measures of rest together. 1, 2, ready, begin. 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 3, 4, 4, 2, 3, play. Two, three, four. 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 2, 3, 4. 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. Now back to 21. There's a second ending. 1 more measure of rest. 3, 4. All right, and then on to Regal March, another band arrangement. First we check the key signature and the time signature. The time signature is common, 4/4. The key signature is once again B flat. Looking for things in this to be aware of. Their first and second endings on the second line. Repeat back to number 3. Dynamics, accent marks, pay attention to breath marks. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, play. All right, so that's a pretty slow speed, but I'm playing them slowly so that you can play along. But I would encourage you to play it faster, and you can set that metronome at a higher rate than that, which was 60. It is hard at that slower speed to make it from one breath mark to the next. But it's much easier if you're going faster because you don't have to use as much air in between breath marks. And that would be true of Montego Bay also. All right, good luck with that page. See you next time.